right. Well, we're going to move on from their dipshit asses, and we're going to move on to Marjorie Taylor dipshit.
I cannot stand this person.
Yeah, I don't know. She must have like a podcast that she's like starting to produce or something like that on the daily or maybe a weekly basis, because she's been coming out with a lot of hot takes recently.
You know, her mouth couldn't be any more vile if someone seriously shit in it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see what kind of vile shit she's spewing today.
If Christian nationalism is something to be scared of, they're lying to you. And they're lying to you on purpose, because that is exactly the temperature change that is happening in America today, and they can't control it. They can't control it, and that's what terrifies them the most. You see, if we're going to label it Christian nationalism, this movement will actually be the movement that stops the school shootings. This will be the movement that stops the crime in our streets. This will be the movement that stops the sexual immorality and teaches children and brings them up in traditional families and loving homes. This will be the movement that protects kids' innocence and nurtures them into responsible adults that grow up to be successful moms and dads wanting to pursue a family of their own. This will be the movement that finally does something about our debt, because it's something that all of us should be ashamed of. It should have never happened. This will be the movement that cares about broken and lost communities that are always forgotten about. Christians should never forget about those people, and we don't. So while the media is going to lie about you and label Christian nationalism, and they're probably going to call it domestic terrorism, I'm going to tell you right now, they're the liars. And if anybody's a domestic terrorist, it's the radical left. They're the domestic terrorist. We could even say the Democrats are the domestic terrorists, because they funded them and they burned down our city streets and rioted in 2020. So if we're going to put labels on people, we should put labels where they appropriately belong, not on Christians and not on people who love their country and want to take care of it.
The Christian nationalists and the far right, they don't love this country. They love the idea of what they want this country to be, because they don't actually want the Constitution to apply to everyone. They don't, because I mean, she says in traditional homes, kids raised in traditional homes, which is going to be right, a mom and a dad who can't get divorced. And so you can't have, she says, and loving homes. What's interesting is that states with higher rates of Christianity, religiosity, states that have higher religiosity also have higher rates of infant death. They have higher rates of suicide. They have higher rates of child abuse, higher rates of domestic abuse. They are typically lower in education. There's a lot of bad shit in states and countries that have higher religiosity. I did a video about this in response to a Fox News article a few years ago, actually. And there is so much, who I think Godless Cranium and I also did a collaboration on this.
Yeah.
A few years back. But she's just wrong about these things. Like these things aren't good. A lot of people who are dealing with issues now were raised, including some of you all, were raised in Christian homes where you were emotionally abused, physically abused. People who are Christians are not necessarily just automatically good people. That's just not true. And her idealized version of this 1950s Christian America with, responsible moms and dads, like those people who raised their kids and abused them, even if just emotionally because they were different, they caused problems, they caused mental problems in their kids. And religious indoctrination causes significant problems in people's lives from it's not good for their mental health. And so, I mean, she's just ridiculous, and she has no basis from which to call Democrats domestic terrorists. Their group or the groups that were trying to overthrow our government in January. So I mean, I don't understand. She's just saying shit with no basis in reality.
Right. Yeah, she is. Also, do you like how she said that our debt would be solved by Christian nationalism?
You know what's interesting is the deficit always goes down during Democratic presidents and increases during Republican presidents, always.
Well, yeah, Trump, her favorite person, raised our deficit and our debt like
A lot.
Yeah. But because of the different things that he was instantiating, but also because of the amount of trips and everything that he went on that cost the American people an ungodly amount of money every time he did it.
To his own resorts.
Yeah.
Funneled taxpayer money into his own businesses.
Right.
He's a fucking criminal.
Because like every time he went to Mar-a-Lago, there would have to be rooms rented out for like Secret Service people and everything like that for everybody that went. So, I mean, that was him funding his own businesses with government taxpayer money.
Mm-hmm.
He was just doing it in a way where I guess he thought people wouldn't notice.
And they'd overcharge, like the resort charged them tens of thousands of dollars for fucking golf carts.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely absurd what he did. And it's not just him. You know, Republican presidents tend to significantly bloat the Department of Defense. And then Democrat presidents have to make cuts in that. And it's difficult to do that. And it seems like, well, they're taking your jobs. Well, maybe, but you know, it's overinflated to begin with because of the bloat that Republican leaders put into it.
Yeah.
So it's Democrats tend to have to make more, I guess, unpopular decisions in regards to cutting budgets, because nobody wants their budget cut. Nobody wants their money taken away. And when you take away money, you have to take away jobs. You have to take away things that are funded. And so that's difficult. So there are a lot of places that deal with that. And then you also have to deal with Democrats tend to increase taxes, where Republicans tend to lower taxes, mostly for the rich. But you know, you increase taxes and people do not like that, but you increase taxes so you can pay for more social programs, which take care of people. And I don't understand the demonization of Democrats who do things maybe people don't necessarily care for. Like, I don't like to pay more taxes, but I'm absolutely willing to pay more taxes to make sure that our kids can eat and go to school and have a good education and, you know, have health care. Like, I would happily pay more taxes to make sure if we could have health care for all. Mm-hmm. Like, I would happily pay more taxes for that. Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, is paying higher taxes what I want? No, but if that's what's required, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to bitch about it either. But they'd rather complain about more taxes and then bloat the Department of Defense while also cutting social programs.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like Trump cut the free lunch for kids program.
Who does that?
Somebody that doesn't give a shit about kids.
I mean, there are kids. I literally know people who, when they were growing up, the only time they could eat is when they were at school. Mm-hmm. They didn't have food at home because their parents didn't have money to feed them. And so, like, kids need school lunches. Poor kids need school lunches. And if we have to pay a little more in taxes to do so that they get fed, that's what we should do. And we should be willing to do it. And rich people who never have to worry about where their fucking meals come from should be more than willing to pay their fair share. Companies who have negative tax rate, this shit is not okay. The way that we do taxes in this country is bullshit.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also wonder, like, I guess she's gonna force, like, in her view, she'd be forcing people to repress, you know, their sexualities. Like, you know, she would require people to, you know, she would, or under a Christian nationalist perspective, they would abolish the whole idea of gay marriage.
Sure.
Right. They would pass legislation to prevent that.
People who are gay would not be allowed to adopt kids. People who are single would not be allowed to adopt kids. They want to have all these kids, no abortion, right? All these kids, but then nobody to fucking take them.
Right. And, you know, you wouldn't be allowed to like adopt kids if you were atheist,
we probably wouldn't be allowed to be atheist.
Yeah.
And not like in this case.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think that atheism would be
You'd have to
outlawed.
hide.
Yeah. And so this is not like the Freedom Party, nor is it like any kind of like fiscal conservatism, like because she's portraying it as being fiscally conservative. But they never are. Like you said just a little bit ago, it's always the Democratic presidents and Democratic leaning government that has to come in and cut things.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up raising taxes, sure, maybe, but they end up having to cut things. But, it doesn't make sense that the Democrats are the ones that are spending more money, but are also having to cut things.
That's just not how it works. I mean, just historically, you can just look at it. That's just not how it works. She's just fucking wrong. She doesn't know history at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I really hope that she gets voted out. Like,
God, me too.
I hope the Democrat candidate wins
I
against
think
her.
Warnock? No, that's in Georgia. It's not Warnock. It's the other guy. What's his name?
Is his name Eric? I can't remember.
I cannot remember that guy's name. I see his shit on Twitter all the time because I followed him, but I cannot remember his name to save my life. But I really hope that she gets beat because her and Bobich and these other fucks, they've got to go. Luckily, Madison Cawthorn, he is not going to be in Congress anymore. And so that's good. And I hope that we see more of that, more of these people going away, because even reasonable moderate Republicans, they cannot vote for these people. They do not have them in mind. They don't. These people are extremists and they are terrorists. And I mean, she terrorized a victim of the Parkland shooting, walking around DC, fucking follow him, screaming at him. She is a terrorist and she needs to fucking go.
Yeah, she definitely does. Anyways.